Good evening, folks. John Thompson here again. I've been in the process of converting my 1/426th scale model of the USS Arizona into the USS Pennsylvania. This is going to be the second part of my series of videos that I've been doing. This basically, I'm going to show you basically the progress that I've made since I showed you in the last film. The last recording, what I did was I made a very basic superstructure. I put the 3D superstructure and glued it down on the deck. Now, it's a very basic superstructure. It's going to require photo etch detailing. Now, what I did do in the assembly here was I put the hull together and added the propeller struts and started to do some detail painting. It looks very different from what you saw yesterday. So I'm going to show you without further ado the model. This is the work I've done today. As you can see, I've painted the hull and I've done some hull detailing. I used a Sharpie ultra fine point marker for the portholes, in addition to which I started to do some detailing. I painted the bell up on the bells on the tripods, and I did black on top of the turret tops. Now, there's some photos I'm looking at of the Pennsylvania 1935 and trying to see what that actually was. There is a picture on Myron Smith's book by James Flood, who is a well-known maritime artist. For those of you who don't know who he is, he basically showed black tops on top of the turret. Now, this again is the flat, light ghost gray acrylic that I've been using to paint this. It went on very well, especially with the 3D parts. They took paint very well. They still have that layer-like look about them in parts. But when you paint, it does build up a coverage and smooth out the parts without losing the detail. As you can see here, I did one boat crane, and I started on the catapult top turret number 3. This actually turned out to be a challenge. This is a piece of photo etch here. I still have some more work to do on this. I have a platform to put on the starboard side of the catapult, and I have a couple platforms to put on the port side, and pretty much that catapult assembly will be done. I also want to do the port side boat crane, which has to go on, and possibly add the other details here on the upper mast here on the main mast, which will be the searchlights. I do have some anti-aircraft guns that come with the Tom's photo etch set, which is basically where I got these guys from for the cranes. And so I do have photo etch, like I said, from Gold Medal models on order, and so it's going to be a while until I get that, but at least I want to do something at least to get it going. Now, you'll notice too on the waterline here, I did a fairly straight job. Believe it or not, this was done by hand. Revell is one of those model manufacturers that's actually very good in giving you a line sort of to paint up to. I call it the close enough method. Now, the close enough method means that you paint as close as you can to that straight line, and you don't really worry about if it's a little ragged or uneven. What you do is you take the highest point of that uneven line and run a line, usually a boot stripe. I make bond paper. You can use chart tape in some cases, or I used to take electrical tape and run it across the hull here on the waterline, and what that does is it'll dress your line up very nicely, and it'll look very nice finished. One of the other things that I did too, like I said, was I did the portholes with a Sharpie. I also did the muzzle ends here. Now, I forgot to tell you that Shapeways also offers 3D printed replacements of the 14-inch gun turrets. So that's if you want to get really into this. They have a lot of options. Now, I did write to them because a friend of mine wanted me to build the 1916 version of the Pennsylvania as she was originally outfitted with the cage masts and the casements in the hull. I also suggested to them that they should do a deck replacement for the second deck, where they have wood grain in it, which unfortunately Revell doesn't do that because they want it to be an armor type deck with the gun tubs, and that's basically where they went with that. One of the other things too that I came across here and modified, which I didn't show you guys, there's a gun tub. So I can show you here a little bit better. There's a gun tub here in this area, and it's on port and starboard side. I had to remove that from the Pennsylvania, so what I did was I carefully shaved it off with an X-Acto knife without risk of me going to the emergency room or turning to the crazy glue in case I start bleeding. But one of the things I did do was I cut it off, and I looked at the plans of the Pennsylvania, and I do have some spare boats left over from my other Arizona model. So what I'm going to do is put a couple launches over that scar so you don't see it. And just a couple little ideas, and there are going to be 4 planes on the catapults here. There's going to be 2 here and two here, and some more detailing to come. So this is just the beginning of what I've been doing. So give you an idea. And this is, believe it or not, this was all 24 hours ago, unassembled parts in a box. So this is how fast this kit typically builds. It is a deceptively easy kit. When I say deceptively easy, it's the kind of model where the skill in building this is not really in the building, it's the detailing. It's also in building these tripod masts, getting them to align properly, and especially doing that. Now, this was especially difficult on this forward mast because what had happened was Revell on the Arizona deck, they actually give you a hole where you can attach these into. On this printed 3D printed part, they don't have a place for you to attach. It just basically butts up against the side. So what I did was I looked at the plans and saw where the legs for the tripod end. So that was what I did. If I had some rod, maybe I would have extended the legs, but I didn't recall seeing anything showing the legs going any further down than that deck where I have them terminating. So the funnel is also not attached. I have that pretty much assembled and painted. I'm waiting for details on it, and there's a reason why I don't have it attached at the present time. In the back of the forward superstructure here, there's a lot of ladder wells, and you can put some stairs and railings on here. I want the funnel off so that way at least I can get access to it. And then, of course, I have the holes in the deck from the original placements for the boats as the Arizona. So that's going to be another thing. One of the other things I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to put a 38 on the gun turret. I don't know how accurate that's going to be because I did see it on the Nevada. Some rivet counters are probably going to tell me, oh, it's not accurate. Well, you know what? Too bad. I did see it on the Nevada, and so at least I have somewhat of a basis of reference. Now, if you notice, I have the turret tops black. Like I said, this was from James Flood's painting of the Pennsylvania, so I'm going to try to follow that as much as possible to reflect the scheme that I want to model. Now, I did notice that for those of you who want to do a later version, possibly pre-war, like the Arizona, Pennsylvania had colors on her gun turrets. She had her first 2 gun turrets 1 and 2 here. On the 14-inch gun, the tops were actually white. And the 4th turret top was blue, dark blue. So that was how they were able to distinguish her in fleet exercises. So, little factoid, where the guys, you do whatever you want with it, but that's pretty much where the progress is on the model here. And like I said, I'm going to have more stuff probably in a few more days just to show you guys little bits of progress I've made. I'm not anticipating getting it done tomorrow. What I am anticipating is I'm going to be spending a while on this. This kind of help me through my schooling right now. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So I look forward to presenting more videos, and I'll show you guys more work of the finished model. Have a great evening.